All right, I believe we're live, everyone. Sitting down with Mr. Eric Butler.
How's it going?
Um, we're going to give me a moment while I put this into Books of Horror. So
Okay.
I'm talking to the people. Um, I know this is riveting.
Yep. Can people actually see this?
Yeah, people where I can see this right now.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, then I will bring out Light, who's hanging out with me. You can say hi.
Making sure. There's the cat. We love the
Yep.
cat.
Yep. The new addition to the family. He's the upstairs landlord, I guess. There won't be any huskies, but there will be a cat. He's also tired, I guess. So he's just. I'm sure he'll start screwing stuff up once we get into this.
This will get really weird when I show it on my phone. But
Okay.
like, this is live in Books of Horror. You and I.
Sweet. Thanks for having me.
Um, Let me pull up the comments over to the side, just in case we get people talking in here. Comments show up off screen.
Just so everybody knows, this is the first time either one of us has used this.
It's a this one's the test run for this new type of live because Facebook's been screwing up constantly with stuff.
Yeah. So it'd be cool if it works.
Yeah,
And then, of course, it could be an hour of dead silence and just our faces. And
I know this is riveting. So I see.
can people actually see this?
Yeah,
Here we go.
is that coming through?
Yeah, I can
Well,
hear it.
people commenting. So I'm
I
trying.
don't see any comments on this stream thing, but I'm sure it's on Facebook.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work out right now. So while I'm working this out, hello everybody. Thanks for joining us. Glad to have Eric on this live. I will turn things over to him and let him introduce himself.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Eric Butler. I write horror. I'm an indie horror author. I guess you could say I lean towards the extreme, but I'm not sure. Um, I don't want to be branded. I write horror. So my philosophy is everything is horror, so it can be any kind of subject or topic, and you can find something in there that can, um, horrify somebody. Everybody has a different level of what they find scary or horrific. So, probably the most popular thing I've written is the Public Massacre series. It's about the goat man from Kentucky. Um, Tagline: half man, half goat, all axe. It's based on the Public Monster, which is again this giant goat man that lives out in the woods. Um, I also write the Don Texas series, which is a pretty cool series that jumps around. Each story takes place in a different year and kind of layers the history of Don Texas. And so as you read each story, which is a self-contained story, you then get puzzle pieces to kind of get the broader idea of what's going on at this place. It's a cursed town in Texas where every year they have a harvest and they have to collect 13 souls for the pale man, and if they don't, they got to pull from the townsfolk. And so everybody in town is wanting to um, make sure they hit the quota. And then when the harvest starts, the scarecrow comes alive and he kind of polices everything. And then as it takes time for the quota to be met, more and more evil is awakened in the cornfields and the surrounding town area so that they can, you know, get the kill count up. So, oh, I see all the comments now.
I figured it out.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. And then I got some smaller ones, pocketbook size things, Rest Stop. I just released The Grove, which is kind of like I Spit on Your Grave with a supernatural twist. And, Kiss Me Where It Smells Funny. And I'm trying to think, oh, There's Something in the Water just came out expanded. And that's where I took a small pocketbook and I made um, a second part, but instead of releasing it as two parts, I put them together because I think it works better as a complete story. If you like cryptids and creatures, slashers, that kind of stuff, that's kind of the thing I lean into.
Um,
I agree with Jess too. She has more Kitty, less Eric. So if you want, I could just put Light here. I'm not sure he'd stay, and then walk away, and then you guys can talk to Light.
well, you talking about your books. I believe a big influence on you, your writing, your tastes would be Richard Lehman.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for Richard Lehman. In
So,
fact, it was if it wasn't for Richard Lehman, I may not be here. I may never have made the connection, unlocked it. My first book, The Shadow Within, is a love letter to Lehman. It's got the same, yeah, I would say the same style. You know, if you read it, you'd be like, oh, this guy knows Lehman. This is a Lehman thing. I had written it, I don't know, maybe a third of it, and put it in a drawer because I didn't know what to do with it. And this was, 20 years ago, maybe 15, something like that. It was a long time ago, and it sat in that drawer for years because I was working full time and dealing with the kiddo and stuff. And so after I started reading Layman, it unlocked the door. I said, okay, I understand now. We can go do this and not worry about anything. And so that's kind of what I did with, picked up Shadow Within again and continued to write it.
that
So
goes into usually my first question, which is what started you on your writing journey. So,
what's funny is I was writing as a kid. My mom was, I'm an only child, and my mom did not think it was good to have me just hanging out. So if I wasn't in school, like during summer months or during breaks, she would have me signed up to different classes and courses and stuff. Just fun activity kind of things, but something to occupy your time. And a lot of it was writer oriented. And so I did a lot of that growing up. And then I would write throughout high school and college as a way to distract myself from normal things. If I got bored in class, I'd be writing something. If I was, um, you know, I had an hour or two to burn at the house, I would write something. But I wasn't ever writing for any other reason than just writing stuff. And then graduated college, got married, had a kid, was working a job that I worked, 60 plus hours. It was kind of always, I was always on the clock, kind of
yeah,
one of those jobs. And Dawn, my wife, was always like, you should write a book, you should write a book. And so, I'm like, I'm exhausted. I don't have the energy to write. And I would write periodically throughout that whole time. I would get in these weird kicks where I would write stuff, but nothing that to completion, or I'd get distracted again or whatever. But like I said, I had that layman section put away. And then one year, I want to say 2017, maybe 2018, um, in October, I decided, oh, it'd be a cool Christmas present if I gave my wife a book, a completed novel. So I wrote every night for the next 2 months. I was printing it off Christmas Eve so I could wrap it
yeah,
and put it in and gave her the book. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. I wrote a book. But then, as we all know, it was probably, yeah, it had to be 2017 because it was 2 years later before I put it out in the public world. And what I put out is not the book I gave Dawn. I had to rewrite sections of it so it would make more sense and that it would work better, tighten it up a little bit, all that kind of stuff. So, but that's the reason I wrote that book. And then once I wrote that first book, then it was like, well, what do I do now? And then it was like, oh, I'll just write another book. So,
oh yeah, just do it again.
well, I didn't know about books of horror. I didn't know about anything when I released Shadow Within in December of 2019. I just put a book out there, and then I slowly started discovering stuff on like social media. But I wasn't a big social media guy. Social media had nothing to do with the job that I worked on. Doing that for 20 plus years, running a mail shop. So I never social media for me was sharing pictures of the kid and the animals for my family. I didn't ever use it for anything else. So blew my mind when I found books of horror and all that, and then it made sense. It clicked. I was like, oh, I guess I should have thought about that. I should have thought that there would be like-minded people on the internet talking about all these things that I love that nobody else I know loves. So, um, but yeah, so that's what I did. I wrote Public Massacre and released it like 4 or 5 months later.
Yeah, that's you went about it almost the most organic way I've ever heard of. Like you was just writing over here, not even talking about it with anyone. Um, like you said, it was a gift for your wife,
Who
and
hates horror, by the way? That's the other thing. It's like, hey, here's this gift of this thing that you despise, that you
yeah,
just don't want to read, you don't want to know anything about. Hope you enjoy this. But of course, it was a cool gift because she did. I did finish a book. It was like partial credit, I guess, but it was still a funny thing because when she read it, she was like, I mean, she wouldn't stop. I said, this person's in the house with me. This insane person that wrote this
right.
terrible stuff going on in this book. So, and what's funny is I ramped it up when I did the rewrite, and she hasn't read the newest version of
I
it.
was gonna say like y'all should do an annual rereading together out loud every Christmas.
I say that, but I don't know. Sometimes she'll watch something that's horror, in that realm, and
Yeah.
she won't blink. But most of the time, she doesn't like watching any of it, so, or talking about it or reading it. So it is what it is.
See, you have that contrasting dynamic in your relationship
Yep.
where she's one side of the spectrum, you're the other side of the spectrum. So
It's just lucky that I'm into just about everything. I like fantasy. I like science fiction. I like the dramas. I can sit through any of these shows that she likes to watch.
comic
Um,
book nerd.
Huge comic book nerd. I mean, she loves the Marvel movies, the comic book movies, but she's not really. She's not like I am when I'm like, oh, and this is why, and I start to explain it, and she's ready for me to just stop talking, so that we can get back to whatever we're watching, or whatever. So
Yeah, yeah. I
she's a
need
big Harry Potter fan. That's her thing. She
okay.
loves Harry Potter. She loves
Fantasy, Lord of the Rings.
no, that's too much. Too many names. Too many dwarves. So
Okay.
I was able to get her to go see the first two Lord of the Rings, and she was like, I'll do this because we're married and I love you and I won't do the horror stuff. But she refused to go see the Hobbit stuff. Luckily, my kid was old enough that he was excited to go. It was that perfect age where he wanted to go see movies, and it was cool enough that he would go see the Lord of the Rings stuff. So,
Right on, right on. So, talked about your first few books in your introduction. How many books do you have published under yourself?
oh, I no
Today?
idea. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know, 10, maybe 12.
you know,
I mean, some of them aren't really books. The little pocket books are tiny. We're talking 10,000, maybe 12,000 words. Technically, you know,
novelettes.
yeah, I could put them together. But I also know that as a reader and as I watch what's popular in horror right now, a lot of people do like those bite-sized stories. A quick read that you can have, at lunchtime or maybe a night or two, depending on your speed or whatever. So I do enjoy writing those shorter ones, but um, probably 10 or 11 different things out there.
Yep, I dig it. Um, and plus you have contributed to probably countless anthologies out there, like from
Yeah,
this
I've done quite a
person to
few.
the other.
I'm slowing down. There's only a few people that I'm actively, um, doing the infos for. Like they're automatic yeses. Sometimes I have to pass now because of the schedule and stuff. But there's a few people that I won't um, say no to. So, um, but yeah, so I'm going to be in a few this year. I've already been in a really cool one that Candace put out.
Full throttle.
Full throttle. That's her. Every year she does the Dark Dozen, and I was, lucky enough to be one of the people that she took a story from and invited to do this. And so that's always a big deal. I think to get to do something with Candace. and I'm in a fairy tale one that you're putting out, and I'm that one was a fun story because I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it after I picked the theme, and so the way it came about was kind of fun.
Oh, you can
And
talk about anything. Like it's coming out April 25th. Yours
yep,
was Ugly Duckling.
yep. So and I picked the ugly duckling one because I know you hadn't done that before, and I thought it would be interesting to try and tackle that as a subject. My original idea was nothing like the story you got, so um, I might revisit it and try and take that original idea and make it something else. But I think the story that I put out was a pretty good ugly duckling representation. But we'll see. People read it, let us know if we got close or not. It's always fun to do when you have a theme, is trying to see if you can hit that theme correctly and well enough that people don't need to, scratch their heads to try and make the connections. Um,
So, on a small tangent there, when you are writing and you think that you know the plot and where you want to go with it, and then the story takes you completely off track, off the rails, how does that make you feel?
it just is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do anything. Well, you can do something about it. You can be rigid and you can force it back into where you were thinking it was going. And you're going to write a piss poor story and you're going to turn it over and they're going to be like, oh, this is cool. I'm glad we waited this long for this thing. Or you can let the story grow kind of organically, try and keep it kind of in the same wheelhouse, but you end up usually, at least I do, with a much better story, with a better, just a better overall feel and flow to it. And I've had that happen a few times, especially with the anthology stories. So, you get an idea and you're trying to be like, I've got a time limit, I need to get this done, word count. And then the story does what the story does. And you kind of blow by the word count, which I actually did in full throttle. And then, like I said, completely changed what I was going to do for the fairy tale one. So sometimes that happens, and more times than not, it happens, and it's a good thing. So, but I'm also not a big plot person. I don't plot out everything.
Yeah.
So I might plot out the first two or three points I want to get to, and by that time the story's off and running, and then we just do what the story's going to do.
That's one of the questions later on. So, plotter or pantser?
Answer.
Pantser.
Yeah.
I also started adding in their hybrid because I feel I'm kind of a hybrid between plotter and pantser because I'm a pantser for sure, but mentally I'm plotting out a lot of the story.
Yeah.
So I consider that almost a hybrid method.
Yeah. I guess you could say that too. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had a complete plotted out, timeline next to me, and then
Yeah,
I'll start writing, and then I'll notice that I'm not, and there's no way I'm going to do this. So it's
yeah.
almost like points I'm going to avoid now.
Throw it out
So,
the door.
but yeah, no, I've done that before. You write down the idea. I've got stacks and stacks of notebooks filled with these ideas and plot points and timeline stuff, and then half the time I just don't. It just doesn't go. The story just doesn't go well for it.
See, yeah. See, for me, not even that. Like, it's in my head. I'm not writing anything down. That's why it's more. I leave that, like you said, that organic feel open
Yeah.
myself. So,
No, I do that too. I mean, you have stuff in your head all the time. I do notice though, if I don't write it down, sometimes I'll forget because a lot of the times I'll have the ideas when I wake up in the middle of the night, or maybe if I'm driving or if I'm doing something else, and I'll text it to Dawn so that I have something written down so that I can revisit it, and then hopefully it'll reignite the thoughts so that I can go that way. I can't tell you how many plot things I've sent Dawn that she's like, what is this? And I'll look at it and be like, I have no idea what's going on. So just ignore those texts. So when
right.
I went to Kentucky on my way to Virginia, she wanted me to text her when I got there that night. And I think I texted something like, I was on the road from hell, but everything's cool now, or something like that. And that was my way of telling her, hey, I'm here. But when she woke up, she saw that and thought it was just me texting her a story idea. And so she's like, then she got mad. And I got you didn't tell me you were there. I was like, yeah, I did. I said, that's what I was saying. So then the next time I drove. When I drove the rest of the way to Virginia, I made sure that I said, I'm here, and then go into the points of the stuff. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I do that all the time. She has crazy text throughout the whole thing, and then like one normal one where it's like can you pick up something, and then it's just more murder and mayhem going down her thing.
And you text it to her. See, you have the option to text it to yourself.
Oh yeah, I guess I could, but
It's funner this way.
yeah,
Yeah.
that and it kind of, hey, I'm working on something. See, I got all these ideas going on and stuff. So she's part of the process, even if she doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, just keep up the illusion at least. I got you.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Fake Nick Cutter for commenting in the comments.
Oh yeah.
We've had,
He, he is active. He is active.
yeah, I've had some very, very deep conversations with him on DMs, just for whatever. Shout out to everybody watching: Bobby, Donna, Lauren, Ben, Jess, all y'all.
Let's see, Moose.
Moose, Brad, and Mike were on.
Yeah, I think Brad left. He might come. He might have come back. But is
Yeah, you
Ben?
upset
Did
him,
you say hi to Ben?
Ben, of course. So, um,
It's a weird setup. It's cool. It's crisp and clean though. I like the way. I wasn't sure how it was going to work on Facebook. I don't think I've done a Facebook Live that
yep.
worked.
And I
So
think people should be able to go back and watch these. There's a way, I mean, we're getting off on a small tangent here with this streaming setup. Um, there is a way to integrate into YouTube as well. So I would like be streaming to Facebook and YouTube
oh, that's
together.
cool.
So I may set up a YouTube channel for these to catch it. So we have them just to refer people back to if they want to catch the interviews so they don't disappear like they would on Facebook.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. That's really cool.
I see Jay Bauer and
Oh wow, AJ.
Allison Hadana.
Yeah, it's
So
great seeing everybody.
the next question I have for you, and it will be interesting because you went about your starting your writing career a little bit differently than most without the help of social media. But is there any advice you received early on that helped you?
I, um, well, one thing that I did that was kind of weird, and I don't know if it was weird, but so I live in Dallas Fort Worth, and after I finished um, The Shadow Within, after I gave it to Don, I didn't know what to do. So a class came up at TCU, a night class that some guy was putting on that said you can self-publish, and this was in 2018. And so I took his class, and he's all like, "Hey, everybody, you don't have to go find a publisher. And let me show you how to do it." And so I went to a night class for like, um, I want to say it was a month, maybe 2 months, every Monday night or every Thursday. No, it was Monday and Thursdays for a month. That's what it was. Because I remember being pissed because football was on both days I had to go.
Oh,
So, but I still went because I needed to learn how to do this. So this guy explained, like, all these things were kind of new at the time, I guess. Fiverr and and I guess Ingram. He was explaining how to use Ingram, and so when I started, I knew all the stuff. I knew everything I was supposed to do. Still found it totally overwhelming, and then ended up just going with Amazon initially because my wife was like, "You're making this too difficult," because I was
yeah.
trying to be perfect with everything.
It's
And she's
a
like,
lot
and
of
at the time,
you.
man, Ingram sucked in 2018 and 2019, and they nickel and dimed you to death.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was a good advice. That, hey, you can do this. You don't have to. But his point was, you can do this, but if you do this professionally. Show up and don't cut corners, and find somebody to do a cover for you. Make sure that you edit it to the best of whatever you're trying to do. Follow the guidelines. Make your book look as professional as you can, so that when you do present it, even though it's self-published, people will take it serious. And so I guess that was writing advice I got early on, or publishing advice I got early on, that I took to heart, or at least tried to.
Yeah.
I wasn't until I don't know, writing advice. It's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
You need to write. You need to read other things. Try not to stay in your bubble. If you love horror, try and read outside of horror. You need to kind of open yourself to the ideas of different things.
Are
Don't get
you,
stuck in the rut and all that kind of stuff.
are you reading my questions? Because my next question would be, what's a separate piece of advice you would pass along to others? Is there something that you don't see mentioned often that you think people would benefit from to know?
Um, I guess it would just be that, just to keep writing. You're not everything you write's not going to be a home run. Everything you're going to write's not even going to be published or publishable. But you keep doing it. You got to put the reps in. It'll make you better. Um, if you can't afford a super expensive editor, you don't need to. You can find somebody that can help you out that's affordable. Um, some people do payment plans, some people do other things, but there's also understand the different levels of editing, so that when you are trying to, depending on what you need, there's an editor for that. And some of these editors do everything, but some of them specialize in certain areas, and you really need to understand that before you go and hire them to be your editor.
Yeah.
So maybe do a little background check or investigate, talk to your people. You can go to all these social media sites.
Do
Books of
some
Horror
research.
has a good one,
Yeah.
for authors and stuff. And don't be don't be scared to ask questions, because everybody's here. 99% of the people in indie horror want you to succeed, want to help you, and they're anxious to help you put out the best thing you can, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to, is that everything we put out collectively is graded. So if somebody in indie horror is putting out unfinished work or whatever, it does reflect on all of us. So know that we do want everybody to succeed. We want everybody's best foot forward, that kind of thing. So don't be afraid, or I don't know. Sometimes I feel like some people get a little awestruck with some of the bigger names, but a lot of those people are very helpful, and you can DM them, and you
Yeah.
don't have to make a big deal of it, and if they don't have time to help you, then go just the next person. Don't take it personally. Everybody's got a different schedule, so you can't just expect everybody to drop everything to help you out. But most people are going to go out of their way to, if they can't help you, to point you to a person that can. And so I just think everybody should remember that we're in this together and that we need to work together.
So if everybody's listening correctly, please DM Eric with all of your questions.
Yeah, because I
And
will immediately tell you I'm busy, but RJ is ready to help, and I'll send you to him. So either way, we've got you covered.
um, a few things on what you said. Yeah, especially with the big guys, like the names you hear everywhere. Just to name a few, like Aaron Beauregard or
Uh-huh.
Daniel Volpe.
Daniel Volpe,
Um,
yeah, he's great.
they know where you're coming from. That's the reason why all of these indie authors will um, be very generous with their time and their knowledge, because they know where you're coming from. And at the end of the day, yes, they want you to succeed. Like, that's why.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a cool thing that we're doing, putting out these books and people reading, our words, and everybody's got a different style or whatever they're trying to do, and so there's so many subgenres in horror, which is cool. That there's a niche for everyone, but
Yeah.
there's no reason to put out something that's subpar because you don't know how to do something. There's somebody there that'll help.
So we got a question from Bobby. If I put this up on the screen, can you see it?
Yeah, that's cool. I can, at least. It looks like it's clean too, man. You might have hit a home run with this site. I thought
Um,
you were going to read it out. I will now read the
oh, okay.
question.
I'll read it outside. Uh, do you guys ever go off the road with your stories and they end up being thrillers or something besides horror? I seem to be all over the map with my stories. Do you want to
Okay.
tackle that, or do you want me to tackle that first?
Well, I'll just do my normal thing.
Yes.
Everything is horror. So there you go. So yeah, it's cool if it's got thriller elements, or maybe it feels like it's I don't know, something else, suspense, or. But at the end of the day, all of that is horror. It's just a different way of it, a different feel to it, maybe a different way that people process it. But it's all horror.
Yep. Everything is horror. Um, I think the funnest thing about writing, when you say you're a horror writer too, is you can tap into any other genre and you don't really have the rules to follow. Say, if you were like writing in high fantasy or something,
Yeah,
you would be hard pressed to put some really heavy horror elements into that type of writing because it becomes grimdark or something. But when you're writing horror, if you just say you're writing horror, you can have your romance, you can have your fantasy elements, you can have your sci-fi elements, and
hmm
guess what? At the end of the day, you're writing horror. So, getting hung up on genre and subgenres, try not to.
yeah. I wouldn't. I mean, I know there are thriller writers, and that's what they want to do and stuff, and I get that too. But at the end of the day, I kind of like saying, hey, I write horror, but if you like to lean this way, there's this book. Oh, you want something that's more Victorian? I've got Sins of the Past. If you want a creature feature, I've got this over here. Slasher. And you just find the subgenres throughout what you're doing. But at the end, yeah, we all are writing horror.
Yep. Um, you say everything is horror, and then when say if I'm at a convention and somebody's walking by and they stop and are looking at the books, my question to them is, what is your particular flavor of horror? Because that way you can point them in a general direction of what they tend to like to read.
And then what you could do is, if you're at a more general book thing that's not horror specific, ask them what they like to read, and then you can try and balance it up with your horror stuff. So, because sometimes you say the word horror and you're going to send a person running, but then again, there's different various degrees of it. So then you can show them something that's a little lighter on the horror aspects, but maybe heavier on what they're looking for. So
Quick to Jason Davis, this is not streaming to YouTube yet. I haven't set that up quite yet. Jason Davis is the guy that reached out to me to tell me about these types of services. StreamYard and Restream are the two big ones that people use. This is StreamYard, but Jason Davis, this was a test run really with Eric to try it out and see how it worked out for the lives that I've been doing. So it seems to be going pretty damn well, and I'm going to try and look into a lot of things to make it better. So
scrolling through the questions, it looks like you need to acknowledge Danielle.
Daniel and Christina, because we are losing stars by the minute with those
So,
two.
although we did mention news, so I don't know why she's ignoring that. So
You gotta, well, I think it's like every 60 seconds she requires acknowledgement. So
that's true.
Donna asks, how important do you think it is for newer authors to read the classics? That's a great question.
Um, yeah, I think it's yeah. I mean, in a way, you kind of need to know where you're coming from. Um, but also, it's hard. I like because we do our what's in the box. So we talk about classic horror literature and how it affects the way we are fans today and the stuff that people enjoy to read and all that kind of stuff, and which classics have actually held up over the years, and you know, talk about all those different things. And so I do think it's important. Um, I don't know if it's important that you read classic horror, but maybe I do think it's important that you read some of the classics just to read. I think you need to read to I don't know, work that muscle so that when you're writing, they're kind of interlaced together. It kind of helps you move forward. Also, if you read enough, you'll understand kind of the rules, and then you'll know when you can and shouldn't break them. And I think the more you read, the more you can figure all that stuff out.
Yeah,
By the way, when you put something out, it's it's the best thing you can put out. instead of just kind of throwing something against the wall to see if it sticks.
I think with the classics too, if you want to know where it all came from, definitely, um, because you got the four big names, like I don't know, the four big names of horror starting now. You know, you got Shelley, Poe, um, Stoker, and Lovecraft.
Yeah, if you're
And
going old school, sure.
old school, yeah, like it all started with Shelley and Poe, right? Like
Right. Well,
Shelley,
I mean, Don and I discussed it, and I think we both came up with the idea that Shelley's Frankenstein is science fiction more than horror. But then again, you apply the rule, everything is horror. So there are
she created
horrific
science
elements.
fiction. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I
So, but
believe that.
yeah, you're 100%. Those four, if you read those, you'll get a good um, foundation. And then you add on your Kings
Your
and
King,
Robert Bloch
Robert
and
Fox, and Matheson, and
Kuntz. Did we say Kuntz? Yeah, you
Coop.
add that guy on there.
He's fine.
I've only read Phantom, so I can't tell you if he's good or not. I don't know. Phantoms
I've,
is the bomb. I'm sorry.
I've read a ton of Kuntz, and I love him. So
Yeah, so I read Phantoms, and that's it.
I think, but I think if you go back and read the classics, yes, you will have a better appreciation for what we're doing nowadays. But even going back, say, 40 years, like about the time that King was getting started, just becoming popular, and go from there on up, you'll see a lot more influence of today's writers,
Oh yeah, yeah,
you know, that are putting out books today from those authors. Like, and we have one in the community that's so approachable. Ronald Kelly, he's been through it all, right there along those decades.
yeah. He's great.
Yeah,
He's one of the best,
and he's
especially when it comes to, like you said, approachable.
yeah,
I love seeing him at events, and every time I don't spend enough time picking his brain. I'd like to bother him more, but there's only so much time at these events to do stuff. But he's a great guy,
yeah.
somebody that you can talk to.
Him and his wife. Yeah, it's like you want to pick his brain, but you don't want to be a bother to him,
Right,
especially at
right.
these events.
So, but then and then so you're talking though. At the same time, King is ruling horror. You've got Lehman, you've got Ketchum, and then in the late '90s, going into the 2000s, that's when you start really seeing Keene, Gonzalez, and that's when your more extreme writers are they're kind of laying the groundwork.
Yeah,
Bright, Wrath.
your Skip Inspectors, um, just yeah, like the '90s was the start of the splatterpunk movement, right? Or late
Yeah, you had some in the early bit, where they kind of created it, and then you kind of had this lull, and then you had another reemergence of it. Leisure started reprinting and printing these guys, and so and it's a fun kind of not a rebirth, but horror was gone. I mean, it was King and Kuntz, and that was it. Maybe Rice, if you wanted to throw, she was putting stuff out in the '80s and '90s. So
yeah, she
those are
was.
the three that everybody would read, and then everything else was pretty underground or hard to come by. And so it was kind of cool when Leisure came out and started putting everything out again and then putting them on the shelves. I mean, I remember finding Richard Lehman in a Walgreens at one point, and that's just insane because I mean these are not you know mass market books. There's some of these that are pretty
Oh yeah,
hardcore, and that's something you should pick up at a drugstore. But so it was really cool that kind of period of time. There was just weird blur of everything. Um, and I think that's what's cool about indie horror, though, is that all these publishers have kind of stepped back a little bit. There's still some big name putting stuff out, but really, I think some of the most interesting things coming out is coming out in indie horror. So,
I think so too. Um, I'm still of. I mean, I don't know if I've talked about it to too many people. I'm of the belief that Joe Lansdale
oh
created
yeah,
Bizarro fiction with the Drive-In series. Like That's my opinion. I don't think there was anything quite like the Bizarro today that like Carlton Mellick and stuff is writing. But
Uh-huh.
if you read those drive-in books, at least the first two, that is straight up Bizarro fiction.
Yeah, I can see that. And then, yeah, he doesn't get the love he should. He was the guest of honor, I guess, or he got an award last year at Texas Author Con,
Yeah,
and and celebrated, all the stuff he's done for horror, but he's done so much other things too. So Western and contemporary action or crime fiction, he does
yeah,
all that too. So it's really cool. Lehman or Lansdale is very cool and very approachable too. If you see him at these events, he was at my public library a couple
yeah.
months ago,
He's just hanging out.
releasing a new book and stuff. But I'm just like, I mean, it's just down the street in my, North Richmond Hills. So I thought, how crazy is that? That this amazing author that's done so much is just down the street. So he's a really cool guy. That's a great point. And I don't know if we celebrate him enough. I mean, you hear his name occasionally. Um, a friend of mine, Mike Davis, who does some of these events locally and used to own and work at some shops, some bookstores and comic stores and stuff. He's the loudest voice I hear celebrating um, Joe's stuff, and he's always right when he does. So
Yeah. Quick recommendation: if you haven't read Lansdale, I haven't read too many, like a handful of books, but the drive-in books. But if you like The Body by Stephen King, or if you like Fear by Ronald Kelly, look up The Bottoms by Joe Lansdale.
yeah, for sure.
It's coming.
Everybody, we should all be reading more Lansdale,
Yeah.
and he's a good writer, and he does a lot of cool things. So one of my favorite things he did is a horror comic that DC put out. Jonah, what is it? The stupid cowboy with the messed up eye. Now, of course, I'm going to blank when I want to make a point.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Jonah Hicks or Jonah
Yeah,
Hex.
Hex. Yes, Jonah Hex. He did a couple series where he was the writer, and I want to say Tim Truman was the author or was the artist. And there's some of the most insane western splatter westerns you're going to read, and they're definitely worth checking out if you can hunt them down. I want to say they're in collections now, but that was a cool thing I got to do last year when I met him, was have him sign all the individual issues, and he was very gracious and signed all 10 of them. So, and that was for two different series. But yeah, I'll probably post it on my page if you guys head over to my Facebook page sometime in the next day or so, just to remind you to go out and look for some of Joe's work.
Absolutely. So, the next question would be what has been the biggest surprise to you after joining the horror community, writing, reviewing, otherwise?
The biggest surprise?
The biggest surprise.
Um,
You probably touched on it already
oh, I
with
might have. I don't know.
people and how nice they are.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody, but there are quite a few nice people and supportive people. That's really a cool thing. I guess there's some friendships I have that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't been able to. I hadn't started writing and finding these groups and talking to people. I mean, the only reason I approached Donna to do What's in the Box was because I thought she was introverted because she um, would always post these introvert posts. I thought, oh, I don't like being on camera. She doesn't like being on camera, so maybe we can do this together, and then I'll get more comfortable in the interviews and things like that. Because I was very nervous the first couple of times people would ask me to do anything. In fact, I would refuse to do it because I just didn't think I would, get through it. So we started doing it, and so I guess that was a surprise to find out that Donna is not introverted at all, and so she took over most of the interviewing, and she leads both the podcast every time we do it. So I always thought that was a funny surprise. Um, yeah, I think the people are cool. I think it's fun to go to these events and get to. This is the thing. A lot of times on social media, people present themselves one way, and then you meet them in real life, and they're complete dickheads. And so I think that's a good surprise. Is that how many people I found cool, in social media, books of horror, stuff like that, and then when I met them at Scares or at another event, I was like, okay, they're actually the same person, and
Yeah,
that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And so
Sometimes there's a disconnect there. Yeah.
yeah,
So you're
sometimes I'm not. It doesn't happen every time. So and not everybody's for everybody. That's another thing that we all need to take. That's a good lesson everybody should have, and that's okay. And you can just scroll on or do whatever you need to do to get on through life. You don't have to hang on to everybody else's words. So, um, but yeah, for the most part, though, I'm pleasantly surprised at how cool and gracious everybody's been. So,
very
because if
cool.
you talk to romance writers or maybe even fantasy writers, they're a lot more cutthroat, and they go out of their way to make sure that you fail more often than not. They don't want any success or anything. So then you meet people in the horror community, and like I said, more often than not, they're trying to help you, prop you up, trying to help everybody move forward because we can all do better together.
What that disconnect there is between the genres. Yeah. I've heard that about the romance community. I mean, you get drama in every
Oh yeah,
community.
for sure.
It's the internet, so. But um, yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't want your the people around you to be there with you. So
Yeah, I don't either. I don't understand it. I don't understand the hard lines people are drawing in the sand for things that don't matter or aren't real. And I also want to call out Mike right now because I've enjoyed watching his comments as they pop up because they've been all spot on.
oh
So
yeah, yeah.
if you haven't read Subject A or Cuckoo by Mike Enenbach, or you might find it as M Enenbach, you need to fix that and go out there and get those books. And I don't want any more excuses. You need to be reading Mike Enenbach.
Absolutely. He's got one coming out at the end of this month.
Yeah, that one's going to be exciting too. They're all exciting. It's always a great time when Mike puts something out. So
I would I would tell he said for fuck's sake. I would tell the people the name of the book, but I would butcher it and he would just make fun of me endlessly.
I know I'm the same way on this one. So
Yeah.
just know that we'll be talking about it as it's coming up and as it comes out. So you guys will find the links on our
It,
Facebook pages and other
it's got
social media
stellar
sites.
artwork by his daughter. So
Yes, she has knocked it out of the park every time.
I'm
So
gonna say Oyos Lycos.
sounds pretty good. And I see Pfeiffer's put it on there. So
So
could have helped with some phonetics, but we'll go with what we see. And I think he nailed it.
I,
And Donna's protesting her extrovert self. So
all right. So we touched a little bit on the Panther plotter earlier. Um, I think Mike has been commenting a few of these, but what subgenres do you tend to write in, and what are some of the subgenres you haven't actually dabbled in that you are itching to get at in the future?
well, I guess let's see. I do cryptids, creatures, cursed towns, and slashers. Is That's what's on my whatever banner behind me. So I kind of, I like. I grew up on '80s slasher horror, so I do gravitate towards that. I enjoy monsters, and I love cryptids. I grew up reading books about Loch Ness monster and Bigfoot and all the other things in between. Um,
What's the cryptid you pulled out of obscurity for There's Something in the Water? Is that the
I
Irish?
always I always slaughter the name. It's a Dobo Shu or something like that. Dobo Shu, Chu. It's an Irish cryptid, giant otter dog with a wolf head, comes out of the water, eats people, and it's just a fun monster. And so I thought this would be a cool thing to throw in the middle of a story of something else going on. And so
Yep.
that's what the beginning of There's Something in the Water. And then I doubled down in the second part where I really lean into the corrupt land, um, grabber kind of guy, and some some corrupt politics, and ramped up the animals. So Don Texas is kind of cool. Don Texas allows me to do a lot of subgenre stuff because every time I do a different year, I kind of do a different. Like I might lean more into the supernatural, or I might do a straight up slasher, or I might do some sort of possession stuff, that kind of thing. So I don't
That's
know if there's anything I'm just dying to get to, other than I just want to keep writing what I'm writing. So I have another Sins of the Past, which is my Victorian thing, and I guess that's the thing that's the most different. I wrote that so that Dawn would have something to read that wasn't too terrible.
yeah.
So it's kind of Cthulhu Sherlock Holmes mashed together, like a dumbed down Sherlock Holmes. It's not a brilliant guy; it's just a guy trying to find his family and disprove the supernatural, because he's tired of people taking advantage of folks that are believers. And so I'm in the middle of the second book, and I was hoping to actually be done with it, but you know how that goes. So hopefully, sometime before the end of this year, I'll have that done. Another um, Dawn, Texas, and I know I'm going to have another Pope at some point. So
There you go. So, cryptids, slashers, that's your forte.
I think so. I think those are the things I do well. I like I do monster horror. Although a lot of times, anything, just like everything's horror, anything's a monster. I grew up with Scooby Doo, and so a lot of times the monster is the person, and we're just doing whatever they're doing. So um,
Even in a
you
monster
can
book,
twist that anything you want to.
yeah. So, even in a monster book, usually the humans are the monsters.
Yeah, and you kind of get that when you watch Walking Dead too. That it's not the zombies that are the worst thing, and that it's usually the other people. And so you do get a good um, back and forth with that kind of. I like to play around with those ideas.
What
Sometimes the monster is a giant goat man. So
what's that subgenre you just haven't tackled yet, but you can see yourself really diving into in the future?
um, I don't know. It's a good question. Kiddo's throwing out suggestions if the mic's picking it up. So
Oh yeah.
she's downstairs barking about something. I'm not sure what. Um,
There you go. Christina nailed it for you.
yeah, well, I mean,
I think you did that in the Grove,
the Grove
honestly.
is a little spicy, and so is Shadow. If you haven't read Shadow Within, it's got some moments. It's pretty heavy. Well, because Layman can be heavy-handed with it, and so, like I said, that's my love letter to him. So I kind of put all the elements in that one. I don't know. I guess I could do. I haven't done like a ghost story really. I've done some possession stories, and maybe I've done a little bit of the ghost story, but not a true old-fashioned like gothic ghost story. That might be something that would be fun to tackle.
That would be
Um, but it's not anything I have. I have a long list of things I'm probably going to get to before I even try and look at that. So
fun. So, whenever time allows, and time never allows for these sort of fun things. So, just keep a watch on Eric's page, see what he's working on.
yeah, and I'll try and get more out there. Like I said, for some reason, the last 8 months or so, maybe 12, I've been a little. I'm behind schedule on everything. It feels like so.
I
But
think it's
hopefully, we'll get back on track and start pumping these things out again.
I think it's just the state of the world. Like, just everybody seems to have been in a some sort of slump. If you're a creative or a writer, it's like everyone's writing their own different ways, but we're
Yeah,
all experiencing the same thing where you'll have spurts of creativity, and then it will die out, and you'll be like staring at the wall, like Jack Torrance type stuff. Like,
yeah. And when that happens, I try to do. That's when I try and plot stuff or come up with ideas, write down some brief outlines. Anything to kind of keep it going, so that when I do get hit again, that I already have some of that stuff going. Um,
Donna wants to see some Bizarro from you.
yeah, you know what? Sometimes I wonder if I'm not wired for stuff like that because I'm very like I love Bizarro and I love watching movies and stuff that kind of lean in that direction. Um, but when I'm writing, I am so hell bent. My brain is so hell bent on making everything make sense that sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I'd ever be able to do it. We'll
Oh,
see.
to almost loosen the reins, the hold
Yeah,
on the.
it's like no, you okay, well now explain why this is this way. And then you know, it has to make sense. But in real life it doesn't. And I don't know, and I always tell writers it doesn't have to make sense. You just write what you want to write, you explain as much as you want to explain. I do that often. You don't
Yeah,
always get the full picture with what's going on because in life you don't get the full picture. I don't believe that you're entitled to know every single thing that's going to happen to these characters. You're going to know what's going to happen in
the
page
context.
one to the last page of the thing. And so you would think I could do Bizarro without any issues, but that is one I do struggle with, and I'll probably try and work on that.
Bobby Jean asks, "Do you guys ever struggle with imposter syndrome?"
Is it gonna? Am I gonna sound like a dick if I say no? Are we supposed to always say it? I don't
Uh,
know. I
you're
guess there
just
might. Everybody talks about it, but I don't ever. I don't get. So you're not an imposter. You wrote something. You know how hard it is to write something, and then you know how hard it is to take that thing and show it to other people and get it edited and get it formatted and then put it into a place where somebody else can go buy it.
and
And
not only that, then continually tell people to buy it.
yeah, sure, all of that. I mean, but even just the writing it and putting it in a format in a way that somebody else can get a hold of it, you're not that you're a writer. You've done it. There's no imposter syndrome there. You've done it. Now maybe you didn't do it as well as Mike Annenbach, who's is on another level when it comes to some of this stuff. But you still did it, and you're not an imposter. So I don't know. I'm proud of every single one of you guys for putting stuff out.
Well, that's Eric and his experience. My experience would be, um, yeah, I mean, with there's no rhyme or reason to it at all. You could write something really good that you felt really good about, and then other people tell you it's really good, and then the very next thing you won't feel it. You'll think it's absolute garbage,
Yeah,
and,
I get that.
and it fights you tooth and nail trying to come out onto the page. But the only thing that's going to get you over that imposter syndrome feeling is to just press on.
Yeah, I guess it's like practice. If you're a big,
I don't think it ever goes away for anybody.
yeah, I mean, in a way, but I guess it's how you process it, like you said. It's how you deal with it. In my mind, it's not, um, it's not an imposter syndrome. It might be self doubt that I don't know. I don't even know how to word it. It's one of those things where it's like if you played basketball, you just get out there and you shoot, and you can continually practice. You practice and practice and practice, so that when it's your time to do something, it's ingrained.
I think that's what.
I feel that way with writing. Just you're writing, you're a writer.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people feel is that self doubt, and it's just labeled differently.
And you know what? I wonder if it's the social media thing that because I didn't start with it before I put my first thing out, and I just put something out, and now I'm like, oh, I just you can just do it. You don't have to worry about what everybody else thinks. Because if that's what imposter syndrome feels like to me. It's you worrying about what other people think you did.
Yep.
Don't
So
worry about what other people think.
exactly,
Okay,
and don't try and keep up with anybody because you can't.
it's not a race.
Yeah, you
We're not
cannot.
doing a race. We're
You
doing
can,
like Hands Across America or something like that. This isn't a race.
right. Mike threw down the gauntlet, so we will
All
get
right. Well, he's always on me for getting out of my comfort zone and stretching. So
I
if
think
Mike wants to do that, I'd be happy to jump in there and you guys can use me as the example of terrible Bizarro, and then you guys can do your stories, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, this is what it's supposed to be, and oh, Eric, he must have won a Make a Wish contest, and he got to write with these guys, and then we'll go from there. That's cool.
yeah. I mean anybody. Well, Mike's Mike, so anybody next to him is going to look lesser than because he's just a
And
story.
it is what it is. We're all writing different stuff. That's the cool
But
thing about the book we did with PC3 and Chris Miller is that we do this book, and each one of us gets a different horseman, and we have to base our end of the world story on the horseman. And so you got four completely different stories, different styles, different tones, and it was really cool because all four of us, I think, did a really good job, and all of us gave the reader something to think about. But we all did it in such a different way that it shows you that it doesn't matter that you get out there and you put your stories out there. People, the audience will find it. Of course, PC3 also argues that nobody ever reads that book. So if you guys want to make him eat crow, go buy or go check out Bringers.
For
Bringers.
Ringers of Hell. So, um, yes, there was a point I was going to make, and it completely slipped. But
I mean,
it was
tell Mike. Technically, it is a contest between you and death, but I mean that
yeah,
gets it really dark. So
that's what it was. Like I believe it wasn't too long ago. You talking about Mike's always trying to get out of your comfort zone. I didn't know anything about that. So not too long ago, I think I was talking to you, and I said, one day you're going to have to let me prompt you a story
mhm.
because I was reading something in yours and I noticed a lot of similarities between them, and I wanted to get you out of your comfort zone. One thing you really like to do that I noticed is to have a large cast of characters. You like to play with a lot of people.
There's a lot of people invited to the sandbox, so that I
Yeah.
have a high body count.
So I was thinking I was almost considering to prompt you with like an isolation story of one person and you have to deal with a single person.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I could
That would
probably, I
that
could
would
probably
be
do that.
yeah, that would be something different for you to play with. And I've had Mike do that to me. Like I went to him in the past and been like, I need a story for this or that. I don't have the idea. Prompt me, and I think a couple stories have come out of that. So it's fun. It's an exercise you can do with your friends if you're writers and they're writers, and you're
Well, we have an
challenging.
unfair advantage though because we are friends with Mike.
Yeah,
He has so many ideas. We've been in the car for an hour, and he'll rattle off 30 ideas
yeah,
of different things that we could be doing. It's an amazing thing. So um, just know that if you're ever struggling, like RJ says, for an idea, contact your friends, but also you can bug Mike.
yeah. Brad said, Brad Tierney says, prompt me, giggle.
Yeah,
All right.
Brad's always got his mind in the gutter.
So aside from this streaming format, I thought it would be fun just to hit Eric with a few rapid fires. Um, some easy, some weird, but just a few things to see how he reacts, see how y'all react to it. So first off would be cats or dogs. That's
So that's
tricky.
tough. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tough one. So I don't like. I'm not a big fan of dogs, but I love my huskies. So I grew up with cats. So I've been a cat person. So much so that when my mom came to visit after we got the second husky, she looked at me and said, "What is going on? You are not a dog person. You're a cat person." And so she was almost offended that we had huskies. And we at the time didn't have any cats. So I'm glad that we've reintroduced a cat to the household. But I don't know if we'll ever not have a husky. So
Yeah. So and when you get one, you gotta have three. So
yeah, it's weird how that went from one to three that quickly. And
so you're
sadly, they're all close together in age, so it's going to be a tough, you know, at the. I'm already started to get my head's right with Totoro. She's the
cross
oldest.
that bridge when you get there.
No, I need to be ready. I need to be ready. So,
So your answer was cats.
you know what? It can be whatever you want it to be.
I
So
wanted
yes,
your answer to be iguanas.
yeah. I don't know. I can. I'm happy with either, and other people's dogs are great too. So, but yeah, I'm not. When we got our first dog, when my wife finally talked me into it, I spent a week looking at it, going, "There's a dog in this house," and I think at that point we had four cats. So it really was like, I don't get what's going on. But the Huskies really aren't dogs. They're like it's like the Sphinx. The Sphinx is kind of like a little monkey dog cat mix. Huskies are kind of like a dog cat kid mix. You know, they're just like teenagers. You can hear them. I don't know if you can hear them now. They're fighting downstairs.
Yeah.
So, but so yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know what I would pick. I would guess 50-50. They're both fun. And now Totoro has a toy.
I should add a third option in there. Be like cats, dogs, or people. And I
Oh yeah,
guarantee.
100%. There would be no. I could do without people,
Yeah,
except for all the wonderful people watching this.
absolutely. So the next one would be music genre, rock or pop,
Rock, but I do love pop. That's the
classic,
problem. I love. What'd you say? Classic or punk?
modern.
Oh, modern. Yeah. Is there any modern rock music? Yeah, probably not. So I guess it would have to be classic. But I'm a big music guy. I mean, there isn't a type of music that I don't, you know, listen to occasionally. I mean, I like country music. I like old school country music. I like
I like,
90s country music. I
I like
love classical music. I'm a big fan of movie scores. I listen to pop and rap and metal, and I don't mind, like early Metallica, but I don't mind later Metallica. I don't think I listened to anything after maybe the Load 2. I think I stopped after that. But, all that. The commercial Metallica's fine. I like old school Metallica, Megadeth. Trying to think of it. I mean, I like Britney Spears. I'll listen to the Swift. I don't bother. That doesn't bother me.
you're a Swifty.
Sure. There's her earlier stuff. I haven't really listened to her new stuff, but I don't mind the early stuff. But she started out country and then went to pop. So I like. I got weird taste when it comes to music. That's why it didn't bother me that when we drove to Virginia, Mike, he plugged his mix in. I hadn't heard any of those things. Like maybe 3 songs I'd recognize, but it was still all good stuff because I don't mind any of the genres. I'm really easy to please with music.
Okay. It's great answer. So next rapid fire would be underwear, yay or nay?
Yay, I guess. Boxer briefs.
Boxers or briefs or both?
No, boxer briefs.
Boxer, yes,
Yes. Yeah.
yes.
When I was younger, boxer, or boxers. But then as I've gotten older, I've discovered the brilliance of the boxer briefs. There you go.
Excellent.
That's the
Horror,
only rapid one we've had so far.
horror or comedy? It could be. I guess asking movies, horror or comedy. So this might be Eric and Don.
Oh yeah, if it's just us watching it, it's always going to be comedy. But if I'm watching it, I'll watch horror because most of those are funny, and you get both. Um, Boy, that's hard too. I'm like the most easygoing person you're going to have, I think, on here. I can watch just about any movie. I love movies. I love the idea of movies. I love how they're made. I love watching a crappy movie to see what went wrong. I like watching the big blockbusters, and I love watching independent stuff. I am easy to please when it comes to movies.
You just can't watch them in a timely fashion.
Yes, I'm terrible at that. If they come out, it's probably 5 years before I'll see it, and sometimes it'll take me weeks to watch one movie because I'll watch them in bits, 15 to 30 minutes while I'm eating. And now, if Don and I are watching it, then we'll sit down and that's what we're doing, watching a movie, and I'll watch it. But if it's something I want to watch that isn't in our wheelhouse, it can take me forever.
Excellent. Final question. What makes the perfect taco?
Ooh. Um,
Your perfect taco.
my favorite taco is corn tortilla, carnitas, onion, cilantro, and a little lime, and maybe a green salsa if it's depends on the level of heat. Not super big into hot stuff, but if you get somebody that knows what they're doing, usually you can get a very flavorful green, and it pairs well with the carnitas. My favorite Mexican thing to eat is flautas, and that's technically you could call it a taco, rolled up and deep fried or air fried is how I like to do it now. Um, but I do lean more corn than I do flour, but I don't have a problem with flour; they're fine too.
I
Now
would
I
prefer
will make
tortilla. Yeah.
whatever white person taco or however they call it now. I love those too. Ground
Yeah.
beef, cheese, lettuce, tomato, flour tortilla. You know, the Midwest taco, I guess maybe that's what it's called. Uh,
Tex-Mex.
yeah, I enjoy that too.
Okay.
But again, I like a lot of different kinds of food. I mean, it's obvious when you see me standing up, you can tell that I like to eat. So I don't really have any problems.
Oh. Oh well. Bonus six question that I'm just now adding. How awesome was Rick's cheesesteaks?
Well, I didn't get to go this time, so I don't know if it
You
is
you
better.
chose not to go this time.
No, everybody went and didn't tell us specifically what was going on. We thought you were bringing it back. So, um, on the scale of cheesesteaks, it's pretty okay.
Okay. Excellent.
I think everybody should try it once.
I believe
How's
that's
that?
all the. What events do you have coming up that people can find you at?
Well, this year I'm trying to expand a little bit. So I'm going to do Seattle's Crypticon, May 2nd through 4th. That's coming up in 3 weeks or so, and that's really cool because that'll be the first time I do a West Coast event, and I'm also doing an event that's not really booked forward. And so I think there's only going to be a handful of writers there. Most of it's going to be people that do like the cool crafts and the illustrations and collectibles, and then there'll be movie stars and things of that nature. So that'll be fun. Then the third week of May, I think, like the 24th, around there, I'm going to be at Frightmare. Uh, Patrick Harrison the third, great writer of 100% Match and oh, Queen Boss Slayer,
Grandpappy.
huh? Oh,
Grandpappy.
Grandpappy, yeah. I mean, so many good. And you know what? And oh well, heck, I can just pull it up here. We got Vampire Nuns Behind Bars. I love the new format with the new illustration, and he's got tons of great stuff. Him and I are going to be at Frightmare, and that'll be at the end of May. And then we're going to take a little jump, and then in July, I've got a couple events like Texas Author and Reader Con, and that's in Irving. And then another event in Irving the next week, and then I'll be in Books and Brews 2 in I don't remember where, Indiana, somewhere.
Indiana. Yeah.
And you'll be there, Mike will be there, and a whole bunch of other people. And so we'll all get together and have a good time, a 1 day event, but there's stuff planned around that weekend. And so it'll be fun to do that. So I'll be probably wiped out by the time we finish Brews, um, because that'll be my third weekend in a row at a major event. So.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't want to not talk about the amazing TBR that's going to be taking place in Knoxville in September. And off the top of my head, I want to say it's the 13th, 14th, something like that.
September 13th and 14th.
So
Uh,
that'll be fun. Saturday, Sunday.
hosted by the one and only Megan Stockton.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be there to see her. She did a great job. Her and her crew did a great job last year. I enjoyed the event. And so this year we're going to come again and hopefully make it bigger and better. And she'll do a third one. And then, I've got a couple other odds and ends that'll pop up later in the year. So once football starts, I get a little choosy because I don't like to do stuff on Sundays, but
With football, do you have a favorite team that's good?
yes, I do have a favorite team that's good. They'll bounce back this year and maybe win even 8 games. So if we're lucky. Actually, I may not have anything after the Seattle event because I'm going to be going wearing enemy colors into Seattle. I'm sure I'll get stabbed or something. So we'll see.
You have to let us know how that goes.
Oh, hopefully I'll live it. I'll use this platform and live stream my death as Seattle fans come after me for wearing the wrong colors in Seattle. So, but yeah, no, I love the Niners. I've loved them since I was a kid. I wish I didn't. I'll tell you that right now. They've broken my heart so much. I age every season a good 3 or 4 years. I'll be dead way sooner than I should be because of the Niners. So you do it the right way, sir.
Hedge your bet on half the league.
Yeah,
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 yes,
yeah.
yes.
I wish I could do that. When I was younger, I love football. So the fact that I live and die with the Niners, I still can watch any game. I love fantasy football. I love football. So I used to wear all the different jerseys, but as I've gotten older and more cynical and jaded about my team's failures in Super Bowls recently, I don't really like to wear other colors. So I will only wear the 49ers if I can help it.
You obviously bleed red and gold, but
Yes.
if you had to pick a secondary team,
Oh, when I was growing up, the secondary team was the Chiefs, and so I think I'd probably be annoyed with that if I was rooting for them all the time. But boy, would that not be nice? I envy the Chief fans. They've had a nice run. Um, I don't know if I was taking a step back and I was looking at teams that I think are Houston. Oh, I love D'Amico Ryan when he left us to go be the head coach in Houston. It broke my heart because I was like, if we had him one more year, I think we could have won the next year. But it is what it is. So I would probably root for Houston right now. I like CJ Stroud. Um, the cool thing about if you don't have a team is being able to just enjoy the players. There's so many great players in the league that it's fun to jump around and watch specific people. I'll tell you that I love Lamar Jackson. You could find me. You could probably get me to easily talk me into being a Ravens fan because Lamar Jackson's amazing.
I mean, me and Joe do it right with the Ravens for sure. Because if you're going to, if football's just kind of like a secondary notion to you as a reader in the horror community, guess what? Root for the Ravens because they are based from Edgar Allan Poe. Like,
Yeah,
get that horror origin with that team.
yeah, yeah. And they're a fun team to watch. Good head coach. They kind of know what they're doing, and
Yeah,
I mean, they choke every year in the playoffs, so I mean that's a problem. But they'll get over the hump eventually. Buffalo's another team.
at least
How
we're
could you not like Josh Allen? Watching him is amazing. So
okay.
I
So
mean, we can go on. We can make another hour of this big NFL thing if you want it to be. So
before we lose all the viewers, sir,
yes.
what are you working on? And um, what are you working on that you can tell people about?
Well, I'm working on a sequel to Sins of the Past. I'd like to get that out. So um, each one is a standalone story, but they tie in loosely. So you can read one of them and not, I don't ever feel like you need to, I don't want to write something that makes you feel like you need to read 100 different things. The cat's about to knock everything off the shelf. And so I will make sure that you get a complete story with the books individually, but, hopefully you enjoy the characters enough that you want to check out the next one. I've got some interesting things going on in this new one. As I flesh it out, I'll probably talk more about it. Um, I'm also working on Rest Stop 2 and a couple of anthology stories I need to get done. And then I'm trying to think, what is the last thing I'm working on? Oh, I'm working on another splatter western. I have one called Stare Death in the Eyes, and I'm working on the next one of that. So
Fun times. Where can tell people where to find you, all your socials and your work.
easiest thing to do is go to Facebook. I have a link tree on Facebook, and you can find everything else. But I'm on Blue Sky, Twitter, or X, whatever the hell they call it now. Um, TikTok. I'm on all those. I do them terribly. The one I do probably consistently is Facebook. So I would find me there, and then you can if you like huskies and one cat. That's mostly what I post. That horror books. So.
All right, there you go, folks. If you're all satisfied, Eric, thank you for coming on and doing this live. I look forward to seeing you in August. Will be
Yeah,
the next time in person. So,
I know that's a long time away. It sucks, but hopefully it gets here quick.
yep. And then right around the corner after that will be TBR. So, 2 or 3 times a year is not too bad considering how far apart we live.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, is it
That
not
was the cat launching
like
himself from one bookcase to another one and just knocking everything I own off. So
showing
that was cool.
off? showing
Yes.
off.
He didn't realize the camera was on him, so it's very funny. But yeah, I wish there was more, but again, we do live all the way over there, and I'm in Texas, so
Yeah. So, thank you for everybody for viewing. I like we said at the top of this. This is a brand new thing that we're trying out this go around. So I'm going to end the stream right now, and hopefully it stays up on Facebook and everything. So thank you all for joining us,
yeah,
and
thanks for everybody that stopped by and had a question or said hi.
read more Eric.
And RJ.
Nope, Eric first.
Yeah.
All right, catch y'all later.
Take it easy.